Hi, I'm Lippy.
And I'm Grumpy. Together we're Lippy and Grumpy Do Podcasting.
In this episode, the Grumpy camping trip, Farnborough air show, and Lippy's top tip for keeping cool in the heatwave.
Now, Lippy.
Hello.
I think a few weeks ago I started with this saying it's flipping hot. Well, it's flipping hotter.
It is flipping hotter. For sure. Hot. I'm stuck to I've got leather dining room chairs. Ooh. And I'm sticking.
Oh, no, I've got a cloth seat, which is okay. Actually, it's all right. But the office thermometer is showing 30.7.
Oh, that is hot.
On the plus side, though, humidity is only 23%.
Yes, actually, I did venture into the garden. And although it was hot, it didn't feel like unbearable, can't breathe hot. Mm. So
surprisingly, we had a bit of rain about an hour ago.
I did, Actually, I did see a forecast for rain this evening.
Yeah. It was so hot, I think it simply evaporated as it hit the ground.
Madness.
Hasn't done anything. Anyway, we're back from a 2-week break.
Yeah. You've had a lovely 2-week break.
We did. Had a glorious 2 weeks in Swanage, although the first few days we were having to wrap up quite warm in the evening. With jumpers and blankets and what have you. So it wasn't all sunshine. It was a lot cooler there yesterday than it was at home. With a bit of a breeze and being by the coast, it's always a bit better. So we were due to come back today. This is Monday, so this is day one of the heat wave
being
warning.
Home.
We decided it wasn't a good idea to travel in the middle of that. Also, risk breaking down as well. As
and then getting stuck on the side of the road.
So we came back yesterday. Yeah, exactly. It's not ideal. So we left Swanage at about 4:30, I think it was, and joined the rest of the south of England on the A31. It
Lovely.
was a very slow journey home. And I've never seen so many broken down cars since the 70s. There was all sorts going on. A Volkswagen Golf, fairly elderly Volkswagen Golf with 4 young lads in it that broke down on the outside lane of the A31, and they all jumped out. And they were typical lads on a sunny day because they had football shorts on and they were pink. So clearly a little bit too much sun and not enough sun cream.
Yes.
And so they had pushed the car to the side of the road. But there was quite a lot of cars by the side of the road with bonnets up and presumably waiting assistance. So, yes, that wouldn't have been fun to do that today.
It would not have been.
Because of the heat.
Not at all.
So we had a number of events and things happen while we were away.
Yeah.
Started on the first day, which was the Friday. It's fairly empty campsite. And a couple decided to tow their caravan up what's quite a steep hill caravan, and got about halfway up and the wheels were spinning and they weren't going forwards. So they went back down again. And the next thing we see them coming up another bit of the track, going across country. Now, this campsite is the most unlevel site I've ever been to. We've been going there for nearly 20 years.
We call it Teletubby Land, so that gives you a hint.
Very good description, yeah. So there are flat spots for tents, but there's lots of slopes in between.
Yeah.
So anyway, this chap's sort of off-roading with this caravan, and all of a sudden comes to a lurching halt as the back end of the caravan's dug into the earth. The left side wheel is almost in the air, and the front is wedged into a bank as well. So we sat there sipping our wine, obviously critiquing the driving ability, and then realised he was actually in quite a bit of trouble. So I wanted to see if he could help. And they were quite perturbed, obviously, by the whole thing. And his wife, who, the poor lady, suffered quite badly with anxiety. She was not in a good way. So wife of Grumpy looked after her. And then Mick, the campsite owner, came out with his old Ford Ranger. I had a blocks of wood. In fact, it was the offcuts from your decking. So we managed to jack it up a little bit, get some blocks of wood under the wheel, and just lift it just high enough so we could inch it forward and then do the same thing again. So after about an hour, we did manage to free the caravan from its ditch. The annoying thing is, if he'd been a foot to the right, he would have been absolutely fine. But
just slipped flipped the wrong way.
Just the wrong way. So he then decided to take it to the bottom of the field where it is relatively flat. And although you're right next to the toilets, it's obviously a bit safer there. But we were chatting with them afterwards, after everything had calmed down, and apparently they'd only picked up that car that morning.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and they had an old Land Rover Defender. He said, well, that wouldn't have been any problem at all. And they thought it was a four-wheel drive car, but it
obviously
it's
wasn't.
not.
No.
Well, there's two models. There's a four-wheel drive and two-wheel drive. Mm. So, so that was a bit of a disappointment.
Yes. They did, however, have a very swanky caravan mover thing.
They did. Those are pretty awesome, I have to say.
It's like a remote control, but giant.
But it's like a giant remote control car.
Like.
So they were able to turn it 180 degrees to go, which makes
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's brilliant. A really, really good idea. And they had 3 lovely dogs as well.
Oh, the cutest dogs. We got them a ball.
Yes,
we made friends with them. Yeah.
That wasn't hard.
No, to be honest, that wasn't hard.
No.
Yeah.
She just cuddles, really.
Yeah.
That's all she wanted was a cuddle.
Yeah.
Yes, so that was a bit eventful. So that was the first day. And it wasn't quite as exciting for the rest of the week. Fortunately, there wasn't one of those a day.
The day we left was quite exciting.
Oh, yes, I've forgotten about that. Yes, tell the story.
Yeah, so we were literally leaving, weren't we, I think? We had packed up, we had played a little game, all of us, and then we were saying goodbye, and Mum had wandered off somewhere, as she usually does. And then next thing, we just heard this massive bang. And all of us looked down, and there's right at the bottom of the track, there's all this dust in the air, and it was quite a windy day, so I don't know who said it, but someone said, oh, maybe a bin's toppled over or bin lid's come off. And
I think that was me underestimating the situation.
And come bang. And I agreed with you. I thought, yeah, that sounded quite similar from the dust and whatever. Next thing we know, actually, your friends that you got out the hole, she's walking up the hill towards us, and we're like, oh, something's gone on. She's strutting her way up to tell us what had happened. And someone had put I'm going to say empty, but they're never really empty, gas canisters on top of hot ashes, and it exploded.
Yeah, the can had gone some distance.
Yeah.
And landed right next to the couple who'd had the caravan catastrophe, right next to their week-old car.
They could have lost their windscreen from that.
It could have been quite unpleasant. So it's a double whammy, because first of all, somebody put hot coals in the barbecue ash box, which you shouldn't do.
No.
It should be cold. And then one of these aerosol canisters. So you're right, there's always a little bit left in there. And that's what happens. So. Yeah,
well, luckily, it wasn't a full one, or someone just, I don't know.
Well, the gas canisters don't go in with the hot barbecue ash. So there was 2 acts of stupidity here.
Yes.
Possibly by one person who we don't know. But that could have been quite nasty. It
could have been a very bad accident. If someone had been stood in the path of the canister, that would have hurt.
Yeah, stood right next to the bin. That wouldn't have been good. One of the advantages of going to the same campsite for many, many years is that there's some regulars there, and there's a number of people that stay all summer. There's one chap who we've called Boiler Suit Bill for many years, because he always seems to be wearing boiler suit or something else, and I'll come on to the something else in a minute. We think he used to do odd jobs around the place, but having spoken to him over the years and sort of gradually got to know him, he's actually got a flat in Bournemouth, so he's not very far away, and he comes for the entire summer. He's got a van with a bell tent awning on the side, and this most impressive water heater made from an old beer keg that he stokes with wood, and this sort of heat exchanger at the back, and a pipe chimney, and he had it fired up on Saturday night, I think it was, and it was going some. There was flames coming out top. It looked like a Bunsen burner. I'll post a photo on the socials. Anyway, so it turns out his name isn't Bill at all, which is no great surprise. It's John. So we have now called him Jumpsuit John. And he appears dragging massive sticks across the campsite. We saw him with one very straight one as we were going off for a walk on Friday night. And we got up the following morning to see he made a wind vane. So with a little rotating fan at one end, and this whole thing pivots in the direction of the wind, which is quite cool.
And does it do anything?
Well, it tells you which way the wind's coming from and a relative speed. So there is some use to it. It was quite a nice thing to look at.
Yes, visual rather than practical.
Yeah, but he done it with his grandson, which is quite nice.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, a bit of whittling. Now, John also has a habit of wandering around the campsite in his budgie smugglers.
He does.
So, yeah, there was a red pair pinned on the washing line at the back of his van when we arrived. And we had a couple of days with DJ Finn. And unfortunately, DJ Finn walked straight into him as he's rounding around the campsite in the said red budgie smugglers. So, and as a result, he's as brown as a berry.
He is, probably everywhere. I'm pretty sure it's not just a budgie smuggler; it's a bit of a thong as well.
Oh, there is, yes, a bit of thongage at the back.
Bit of,
which
yes.
I really don't want to think about.
Bit of bum cheek hanging out.
But he's well renowned there. I mean, he's been going there as long as we have, I think. And he used to have a position by the wall next to the footpath that goes ultimately to the pub. But we were talking about that this last week, and he was saying, yeah, it was just so windy down there, which I've moved back up to the top. So This is the first year that we've ever been right at the very top, and we did feel like campsite royalty.
You did look like campsite royalty.
Yeah,
we
so
could spot
King and
you.
Queen of the campsite. You could, very easily.
Yes.
King and Queen of the campsite with the Mad Prince Regent next door. Budgie smugglers. And then we had another gentleman turn up last week who had come from near Chipping Norton in Oxfordshire, and he has a number of disabilities. So he'd actually done a lot of the journey on a mobility scooter. So he got from his house to the train station on this, and somehow he managed to get to the campsite. And we watched him. It couldn't quite work out what was going on, but he seemed to be walking up the track, the steep bit of the track, with the mobility scooter.
Because it's very potholy.
It is very potholy. And we managed to get down okay. And he had the world's smallest tent. So he put all of his camping gear on this buggy and managed to get there. Amazing effort.
Impressive.
He was there for a few days before a hotel in Swanage. But he knew John as well. He said, I haven't been for a while, but I know John. And then somebody else rocked up, a amateur radioist, a ham radio operator. Yeah, nice chap, bit deaf. So unfortunately, he had the radio turned up quite a lot, so we could hear the conversations.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you be a radio presenter if you're deaf?
No, he's not a presenter. So it's a bit like CB radio, but a much longer range, and you have to have a license for it. You have to do a test.
I see. Okay.
He was very, very interesting chap. So we got back from wherever we've been, and there's a caravan just along from us with this massive aerial attached to it, which obviously I made a beeline for, being a bit keen on the on aerials.
Very. And flagpoles.
Yeah, I didn't put a flagpole up this year.
It was a bit windy.
It was windy to start with, and then I just thought, it's now not windy, and it's sort of second week, and actually I'm not going to.
Yeah.
So we're off to Wayfest next month. Well, it wasn't so much that, it just seemed odd to put it up halfway through. So I will put some flags up for Wayfest next month. So I managed to get lots of swimming in. Various places. But I have discovered that walking over slippery stones, there's no way you can do that and appear manly.
Oh no, you have to go full princess toes.
You revert to, and it's not that it hurts, it's just you slip all over the place. And there were some quite low tides, I think partially due to the supermoon around the second weekend. And also big rocks as well. I could quite happily walk over small stones barefooted without wincing, but actually big rocks I find quite tricky.
They're more pointy as well, big rocks, I find.
They can be.
Suspiciously pointy in places you wouldn't expect.
I think your foot bends the wrong way, and then you slip a bit, and then you're worried about.
It's game over then. It's game over.
So we went to Chapman's Pool twice. It is, and the second time the tide was very low, and we met some fishermen there who'd come for the night. They'd wheeled a whole load of gear down to the beach, and we were discussing I think they had another hour and a half to go to low tide. He said then when the tide comes in, the fish come in with the tide, so we'll be able to catch them. And he said, but we're not very good, so we brought a whole load of bacon with us as well. So, presumably.
So the plan was to eat what they catch, but they brought back up because they knew they weren't going to catch much.
Yeah, so I think it says an awful lot about that. And relating to fishing, two friends of mine, one's a very keen fly fisherman, and he took the other one fly fishing on Friday, and they ended up in A&E because the less experienced one managed to get the fish hook caught in his finger, which is pretty much my worst nightmare after witnessing a very close to eye out fish hook injury when I was a child.
That's gross.
I don't want to go near them. They're just, yeah. So that was a trip to A&E. And the same friend then got stung by a bee on the Saturday and trod on a rusty nail.
That is an unlucky human.
Well, it's 3 in a row. It's got it over and done with.
Yeah, but a rusty nail could kill you. It's done then.
Well, he's had so
Never
much
have 3
tetanus.
in a row again.
Well, no, he had tetanus on Friday, so he was good for a few accidents.
He was stocked up on the antibiotics.
Yeah, absolutely, on absolutely everything. So he says the finger's better now, which is good because he's helping us empty my mum's loft on Saturday. So we need him fighting fit.
I don't want to be paired with him, thank you.
I think you're up in the loft with Charlotte.
That's okay then.
Yes.
I'll take that.
Him well, you're now a health and safety expert, so you can allocate the jobs.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, on the...
Can that be my job though?
Health and safety?
Yeah.
No. Well,
so
yes,
I just monitor everything for the day.
No, you can't. No, we need muscle. Now, Chapman's Pool, if you've not been there, is an absolutely idyllic little pool on the Jurassic coast. And there's a few boats more up there during the day because it is quite peaceful. And it's quite hard to get to as well. So it's not overpopulated, which is really nice, unlike Studland Beach, which is would have been absolutely rammed, I should think, this last weekend. And unfortunately, we followed the signs the first time we went there, which was a bit of a mistake, as there was some near vertical bits with rope. So there was some abseiling that had to be done. And I'd worn completely the wrong shoes. I'd worn my worn-out boat shoes that have no grip whatsoever. So how I didn't end up tumbling all the way down to the bottom is a bit of a mystery. It's a direct route, but it's no quicker because you're stumbling and...
Take half an hour to rock climb down the...
Yeah, basically.
Down the cliff face.
And there's a very gentle slope, so I don't know why that wasn't marked. We did warn a few people going in that direction that probably wasn't the best way, unless they liked abseiling. Yes, it was a bit of a surprise, let's put it that way. But we did do a bit of walking. It was a little bit too hot, I think, certainly towards the end of last week.
Yeah.
But we did, after you came on the second weekend, we had this mad idea of getting up at 4 o'clock to walk up onto the Purbeck Way to see sunrise at 5:15, I think it was. So
absolute ludicrous idea.
It was ludicrous. So you disappeared off very sensibly, and we got all our stuff ready. We got the rucksacks out, got some water in the fridge, laid out stuff we needed. Went to bed early, set the alarm. 4 o'clock came. Wife and Grumpy prodded me. I just put my arm up and just went back to sleep again. And woke up 6 hours later.
So not only did you get the extra sleep from going to bed earlier, you then got woken up at 4 and then got another 6 hours from 4 o'clock.
It was a good 12-hour sleep.
That's good. You obviously needed a good sleep.
Well, clearly. It's obviously very busy sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah.
So unfortunately we didn't do that, and then it got a lot warmer and we didn't do the course.
It's too hot.
Just, too hot. But that was fine, absolutely fine. We did do pitch and putt, which we haven't done the full 18 holes for a long while because they have camping on there over the summer, and we've been there in August, and that was really nice. We used to do that a lot when you were younger.
Yes, we did. We used to love doing that.
Yeah, it is good fun. I lost by 2 strokes, but then I don't play golf as much.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I think if handicap had been applied...
You did better than Chris. Chris and I played, not the same, we played crazy golf.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, duck whisperer.
Oh, yes.
We played Duckboy. We did the Jurassic Park one.
Yes.
Down by the seafront. And I beat him by 7 shots.
That's quite a hammering, actually.
Yeah, I did a good job.
Good job there. I do like that one. I like that and the pirate one.
They've just redone the Jurassic one, and it's very impressive. They've put a lot of money into it.
Well, I should think it's a good money spinner, that.
Yeah.
Certainly in the summer, people are queuing up. So, unfortunately, one of the reasons you ended up playing Crazy Golf on the Saturday, when we were planning to have a very nice lunch at...
birthday lunch.
I can't remember the name of it. Where was it? Where were we going?
Durdle's Door.
Yeah, near Durdle. I can't remember the name of the bay.
It begins with an L.
Lulworth.
Litherham?
Yes. I get that... Litherham? That's up north somewhere. I get that in Kimmeridge modelled up constantly.
Lulworth Cove.
Yeah, Lulworth Cove. So we had to abandon that because, for those of you who've been following the woes of the Horse Whisperer's car and multiple breakdowns, after trying to repair it by replacing sensors, we'd made it a lot worse. It was very, very angry. And a gentleman called Phil, from Phil's Pajeros in just outside Southampton, came down, picked it up on a trailer and took it away and phoned a couple of days later, and he said, we've had a look at, there's no codes coming up, so we think the engine's knackered, which is his diagnosis. So, okay. So it's got 240,000 miles on it, so it's done, reasonably well. He said, well, I've got one which is running with 120 on it. We can swap that over. Quoted a price, and it wasn't eye-wateringly bad for what you're going to get. So you're going to get another 100,000 miles out of it without any problem whatsoever. So anyway, so he'd swapped that over. Horse Whisperer had gone down on the train to pick it up, got back, was driving down on the Saturday very early.
Yeah.
Phone call saying, I've broken down.
At 8:30.
The fan belt snapped. Yeah, at 8:30. So she called Green Flag. They came out, looked at it and went, oh no, it's a bit more than that. The front pulley of the alternator snapped off. And so we're going anywhere, basically. So I sent Phil a message saying, she's broken down. Can we come and get it recovered to yours? Because she was just down the road from there.
Yeah.
You could have almost pushed it there. So this was on Saturday. He phoned me back, which I thought was brilliant. He went, yeah, that's no problem at all. He said, we'll have a look at it first thing Monday. So anyway, so we get it there eventually and go and pick up the Horse Whisperer from Basingstoke Retail Park. Eventually got back at, I think it was about 3 o'clock, wasn't it, in the afternoon. But then he put another alternator on, and there's this odd thing on Shoguns where when the alternator starts to fail, 3 lights come on the dashboard.
Yes.
3 lights back on again. Puts another one on. Bearing in mind these are second-hand units, they're not brand new ones. Same thing happens. So he goes, something not right here. So trace the wiring and find the wiring's been rubbing somewhere and has shorted out. So what the sequence of events was, because the alternator was the one that was originally on the car, and that was relatively new. So I don't think there was necessarily a fault with that, although there could have been, who knows. So, anyway, so she then has got the car back and it's running sweet as a nut, and it is so much quieter.
Is it?
Oh, it's unbelievable. It doesn't
It's
sound
not
like a
chuggering away.
No, I mean,
because normally you could
quiet
hear her when
units.
she's like at the petrol station from your house.
Pretty much, turning into the road. But it's as quiet as that car can be.
Yeah.
It's still noisy, but compared to it. So it'd be interesting to see if the fuel consumption's improved.
Well, fuel prices do seem to be going down again.
They do, yes. I was reading
Ours
something
have dropped
earlier.
a bit. Excitingly.
Pretty much 192 for petrol all the way through Hampshire and Dorset.
Well, that's extortionate. Ours is 185.
Yeah, ours is, I think, 182 here.
Ours is 185, and then there's one on the main road into Farnham, which is honestly like a mile, maybe 2 miles up the road, at 194. And I saw someone pulling in, and I wanted to pull in behind them and be like, don't fill up here, like literally a mile down the road, it's 10p cheaper.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. The petrol station in the village has to pay the spot price on delivery, so their prices are up and down.
We've got a plane.
They're the first to go up. Oh yes, I have to say, listeners, that this is the week of the Farnborough Air Show.
And I live by Farnborough Airport.
Yeah, so we're having a bit of a Lippy and Grumpy Jolly on Friday.
Yes.
Where we'll watch the aeroplanes, but there may be a bit of airplane.
I do have a good story about the air show.
Oh, good. Go on.
Well, I didn't realise until I think it was yesterday that they were flying planes all week. I thought it was just the Friday that they were doing displays. So I'd seen they've been posting on like the community board for Fleet, like the timings of when things are going to be flying. And it was a Boeing something or other. So quite a big passenger plane. We heard it before we saw it. So I got up from my chair where I was working and Duckboy had been sat on the sofa, looked out the window to see this plane basically hit the top of the trees at the back of our house, which is like I could touch the trees at the back of my house.
Yeah.
It's so close. And it just like swoops round. And as you said, it's because people are watching, they're viewing them. So they're doing things lower and slower. So so it came right down above the trees and round and then onto the, obviously landed then on the runway. But I now see why they've closed the road at the end of our road. It's called the Aldershot Road. And it does run right round the back of the runway. And I fully understand why they've closed that now, because I was getting a bit annoyed because that's how I get to work. And I was like, I can't use it all week. I have to go around the long way. But I feel like if that plane came overhead whilst you were driving on that road, there would be a lot of vibration, whatever.
Well, there's that and distracting people as well.
Yes.
They look out the windscreen to see what's flying and then run into the car in front.
Yeah.
Who's stopped to get out to take a photo.
They've also had the roads blocked along there for about 3 weeks now as well in the build-up. Lots of barricades and no parking signs and stopping plane spotters from just stopping in the middle of the road.
Just stop, yes. Well, it's amateurs plane spotters, isn't it, rather than professional ones. Good. I used to work not far from there, actually, and also quite close to Farnborough runway. And it was always quite mesmerising seeing some of the bigger planes come in. I mean, they have one in there.
Yeah.
The whole area was shaking because it was a big transport plane. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, so I think they might be leaving for the day now. Because I've heard of a couple.
It might be the private jets leaving. We had something similar a couple of weeks ago with the Goodwood Festival of Speed. So we're over the helicopter course from Goodwood to London.
Yes.
So you get it at about 8:30 to 9:30 then coming over, and then again in the evening. And then we'll have the same again with the revival.
Yeah, people getting choppered in.
Yes, which it just goes to show how much money there is in those events.
Yeah, stupid amounts, really.
Yeah, massive amount. Anyway, we've digressed slightly.
We did, yeah. Sorry, it's because I got distracted by a plane.
Yeah, that's why there's actually...
It's been my whole day. My whole day. I keep jumping up with my phone to try and get pictures, and I think I've got one picture. Oh, I got two. That's
blurry?
one.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, that was one taking off. And then that's the other one. Spot the plane.
Yeah. Is that like the football competition, spot the ball? Put the next one the plane in.
It was a little acrobat one.
Oh, yes. Looks like a blob of water.
Yeah. Literally minuscule in the sky. Yeah. They're the only two I got today. But this will be my whole week. I'm working from home because of the heat. So I'll be jumping up every 2 seconds being like, there's a plane!
Yes, so Friday, one of our party who are coming over is contemplating bringing his very long lens.
Oh, yeah. Do it.
That rather assumes he has any ability to take photographs, which I suspect is probably not the case at all.
No. But yeah, we've got the sun loungers ready and in the back upside position, so you can just lie there and look into the sky.
That's good, as long as it's not heaty, blaring sunshine.
Well, we do have an awning, but then you won't be able to see the planes.
Can't see the planes through the awning.
No.
Anyway, back to Swanage.
Back to Swanage.
I did something very unusual while we were there. I went shoe shopping.
Oh, you did? I heard about this.
Yes, astonishing. This shop that's been there for donkey's years, and it appears to sell towels and very loud-coloured bags. But actually, it's got a ton of shoes in there. And I was looking for a pair of boat shoes, and I found there was one pair in a shop that I expected to find them in. And they were some sort of hybrid between boat shoes and trainers.
Oh, no.
Utterly hideous. And I know I'm old, but I looked...
You're not loud.
Well, no. But if they had Velcro over the top, then they would have been ideal. But they had laces. So they were some sort of bizarre hybrid. So we popped into this shop because they had a few shoes on there, and they had loads. of Skechers and Hush Puppies, which is a type of shoe I quite like because they're quite comfy.
Very soft-soled.
Yes, and of course I bought a pair, and so did Wife Grumpy.
Obviously, because if you're going shoe shopping, she's going to buy some. Even I went shoe shopping in Swanage and got a lovely pair of your favourites, sliders.
Yes, well, you had to, didn't you? Because the
Duckboy broke mine. He stood on the back. He stood on the back of my flip flop.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then about 2 hours later, it broke.
Oh, that's good. That's one less pair of flip flops in the world.
Well, I went and bought another pair, so bought sliders.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like I'm still young enough to wear sliders.
It's a very odd name.
Yeah. Well, because you slide up, they slide on.
Yeah, I suppose you have lace-ups and slip-ons, don't you?
Yeah.
So actually,
slide on.
Yeah.
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 Not that weird when you actually think about it.
No, it's not really. Anyway, we finished off the week with a boat trip from
I didn't know you did a boat trip.
Yeah, we did. Swanage to Poole. We did.
Oh, no, I did see
Friday.
pictures of this boat trip. I saw 2 pictures. Both included alcohol and not much of a boat.
Yes. There was a lot of a boat. We were right at the very front, which was quite nice. And there was a little bit of drinking. I didn't have very much. I took loads of photos with my big camera, which I haven't removed yet. But it was very nice. And there was a commentary which fortunately was different on the way there and the way back. And it was very interesting. Lots of facts about the coastline and marine bits. I hadn't realised there was actually a physical wall around Studland Beach under the water.
Oh, to stop the animals coming in.
No, it's to stop the beach eroding. It was built a long while ago, and there's a series. It's more up towards Shell Bay, so up towards the Sandbanks ferry end, and there's a series of markers. But the tide was quite low when we went out, and you could actually just see the difference in the water either side.
Interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of that area was used during the Second World War as practice for the Normandy landings because the beaches were similar. So there's quite a lot of historical wartime events that went on. Of course, radar was invented just down the road. Well, not invented, but developed into something usable.
And obviously dinosaurs lived there.
And dinosaurs lived there. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
There's some very good footsteps in the stone there, and there's plenty of fossils all over that area. But yeah, the boat trip was very good. Wife and Grumpy and I decided we'd go over to Brownsea Island one day, and we got all the way over the chain ferry to find that you couldn't get the boat from Sandbanks anymore due to some purchase by John Lewis.
Ooh,
so you have
weird.
to go all the way to Poole. So there's a bus stop just around the corner from the ferry. So we got to the bus stop, and I'm looking at the times, and it was a 20-minute wait for the bus, and then it was half an hour to Poole, and then we would have just missed that boat. So we'd had to wait an hour for the next boat. So by the time we actually got onto Brownsea Island, we'd have half an hour and have to come back again.
Yeah.
It was pointless. So we ended up in the Haven Hotel, which is a very smart hotel.
It's a lovely hotel.
Had lunch, but it was the slowest service I've ever come across. It took them half an hour to take our order.
It's normally old people that go there, isn't it?
There were a few, but there were some young families there as well. But still, half an hour to take your order is a bit much.
Yeah,
but the food was absolutely banging. It was very, very
because
good.
is the Haven the one right next to the ferry?
Yes.
So oddly...
No, it's not. It's one round. There's a block of apartments right next to the ferry, and then they're next to that.
Oh, yes.
So the outlook is, you can see the ferry, you can see a lot of Poole Harbour, and out to the Solent as well. The view is spectacular. I have got a panoramic photo of that. Maybe I'll share that.
Yes, because we bumped into our rather elderly neighbour the other day. And he was asking if we had a nice time away, and then we told him where we went, and he went, "Oh, I used to go to a hotel near the ferry down there."
Yeah, that would be the one.
Yeah. Small world, isn't it?
It is, but it's a world that most people seem to have been to at one point or another. It is a stunning piece of the countryside. Anyway, after all this camping talk, have you got a top tip?
I do have a top tip. And not only is it a top tip, it's a mild obsession that has occurred in the last couple of days. So my top tip is not to walk, but to run to Home Bargains as quickly as you can and buy yourself one of these. And for those that can't see, because it's a podcast, not a video chat.
So that'll be everybody bar me.
It is a water bottle spray thing.
Don't spray it at your computer.
I won't. With a fan on the top. So you turn the fan on and you spray and it mists water at you whilst it's fanning you. And it is so nice in this heat. Honestly, it is so cooling. I've sit here all day with the little fan going, just like spraying it on me.
That would confuse cats.
It would. Because
they're not keen on water being sprayed at them. And when they experience it, they like to know where it's come from.
It's very confusing. But it's not really it's not aggressive. It's a misting. Because I wouldn't want like water being like, not like shooting at me. Yeah. But it's like a mist, a cool mist. And like, I'll just do it all over my face and then dry my face with the fan. And it's so nice and cold.
Very good.
So yeah, run to Home Bargains and buy one. They're $1.99. It's definitely worth it. Yeah.
Well, they've probably sold out by now.
I know. Well, I went on Saturday. I'd been at a 1-year-old's birthday party and my friend had it for her daughter. Her and her daughter were using it. And I was like, oh my God, where did you get that from? She's at Home Bargains. Like, perfect. Stopped on the way home. They'd run out. Went on Sunday and they were there.
I
bought one. Yep. It was great. I enjoyed myself.
That's good to hear.
Home Bargains is honestly my favourite place. I get a bit distracted in there.
It's a bit like going to IKEA, isn't it?
I went in for this and I came out with peppercorn sauce.
Of course.
Yep. What else did I get? Oh, Magnums, white chocolate Magnums.
Oh, nice.
Because it was like £2.60 for 6. That seems like quite a good deal, I thought.
Blimey, it is.
Yeah.
Are they the full-size ones? Or
yeah,
the mini
big
ones?
size ones. Weird shop, but it's Home Bargains. I feel like they know they're going to get weird customers at their tills.
So online, they sell a pack of 3 of those.
Magnums?
No. Sorry, back to the fans. Sorry,
a pack of 3 fans?
For $5.97, I think it was, but they are out of stock.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone wants me to pick them up, I live right next to one. I'm happy to go every day and check. As long as you fund my other shopping whilst I'm there.
It's always a catch. Yes. Well, maybe we'll stop and pick some up on Friday. But mind you, we'll be back to ice cold conditions, won't it, by Friday? So my fun fact for this week.
Yes.
I'm not doing a saying this week. I've got a saying for next week, which is relevant to the previous episode. But I thought I'd do which is sort of a fun fact and top tip.
Oh, a little double.
Yeah. So we were sitting on the hill overlooking Swanage and Solent and the Isle of Wight, and this very large boat goes past. I thought, I wonder if there's a boat tracker, like a plane tracker. And there is. It's called Marine Tracker, and it's brilliant. And
I did quite enjoy it, to be honest.
DJ Finn, who was there the first week, he was so impressed with it, he downloaded it. So we were having a bit of a nerd off with boats. And when we were in Poole Harbour on the boat trip, there was a boat called My Melody, a general cargo boat that had just working its way out. So we followed that all the way. It was going down to Spain, north coast of Spain.
Ooh.
So checking and informing people where it was. I'm not sure other people had the same enthusiasm I did.
There was one point, though, when you were on your way to pick up the Horse Whisperer, we did see a boat, because obviously it looks big, which means it's really big because you're quite far away. And I did think, oh, it's a shame Dad's not here. I'd like to know where it was going.
You see, you could have downloaded it for free. Talking of big, we saw the Condor Sea Cat ferry go through when we were at when we were waiting for the chain ferry back. And that is massive. That is so big. So big. I think I've got a couple of pictures of that. But that obviously shows up quite well from the campsite. You can see it, but it doesn't look that big. Yeah, so highly recommended. Marine Tracker, I think it's called. Hours and hours of fun. Stop laughing.
Honestly, though, this thing is the best thing I've ever bought. I've been trying not to use it whilst we've been doing the podcast.
That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
You can help spread Lippy and Grumpy's view on life by leaving a review on your favourite podcast platform.
If you're not sure how to leave a review, or if you download from Spotify, there's some help at lippyandgrumpy.uk/review.
And if you would like to get in touch, email podcast@lippyandgrumpy.uk.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.